used to have lots of water butts around the house collecting the rainwater that we used on the garden, and then we realised that you could use rainwater to flush the toilets, because the water you use to flush the toilet doesn't have to be purified to the same extent as drinking water. And we stayed with our friends in the Caribbean, and in the Caribbean they collect all the rainwater they use, and that is the water they use for the house. So it was trying to mimic that and also save water. We've had a water meter before we had the rain harvester put in, and we reckon it's about 2/3 the cost now, so about a third using the rainwater.
A lot of the water that goes down the drain is not used for drinking or proper edible uses, so it's cut it by about 2/3. In fact, it's actually, for a 4-person family, it's a bit tight if there's not much rain for a 6-week period. We've got a 3,500 litre tank here, which the whole idea of this is you don't have to think about it unless once every 6 weeks or so we just have to check the filters and make sure they're clear. But the whole aim of everything we do in sustainability is to make sure that it's a no-brainer. You don't have to think about it, it just happens as part of the day. So in here we have our way down into the tank. So what we have is a 3,500 litre tank, and it's running at the moment. You can hear a pump going, and that's putting water from the tank up into the loft. So once every 6 weeks or so we have to check the gross filters on the system, and that's the only thing we have to do really, and that's just to make sure that's clear. And in fact it's clear, so there's nothing to worry about here. Most of the trapping of leaves and things like that is done before it goes down the pipe, because once you've got it into the system it's much harder. So the trap here, the gross filter here, is really to get gravel and grit out before it goes down into the tank. The traps on the downpipes for the roof are very effective. In fact, in the really bad weather we've had recently, we've had gushes of water because it's not going down the pipe fast enough because of the trap. But this has been full for most of the winter, which is really good. It was about, the hole was about £4,500, and then the tank was not that expensive. It's only a fiberglass tank, probably 1,000. But as part of a big build, it's worth doing. And really the secondary plumbing that we have, because we have 2 sets of pipes in the house now, one for the loos and the washing machine, and then potable water for drinking water, etc. So but all of that got absorbed into the rest of the build. Far better rather than retrofitting, and to be done when you construct a house, obviously. Right, so this is the electronics and brains of the rain harvester system that we have here, and this unit will fill up the tanks in the loft and keep them topped up, and when the tank runs out it automatically does the switch over to the water from the mains. The only thing that we keep track of is the gauge on the tank there. That's the only thing that you can see here. So currently we are producing from the PV 2 kilowatts. It's a lovely sunny day here, so we're just generating 2 kilowatts. And you can see this is like the nerve centre of the house, and we either use the power within our system or it goes out onto the to the grid, onto the mains. But it's all very transparent, we don't have to think about it. We can turn it off ourselves if we need to. And since we've had this in 2005, if I look here, we can go across just under 2 megawatts we've generated since it's been installed, which is pretty good going, really. This is 2.5 kilowatts that we're generating, so actually that's, if you put a 3 kilowatt kettle on, you're still drawing power from the grid. But with the house in steady state, when I'm working at home, for example, about 50% of the power goes out onto the grid all the time. And if it may be more than that, if I'm just running one laptop, it's very efficient from that point of view. We bought what they called pathfinders for this, and have the warm glow of being one, and that's about it. We don't get the money for it. But it was a lifestyle decision to make the change, really. It was either put this in or buy a new car, and we put this in. Our bills are lower by maybe a third. So I think the last quarter was £205 we spent on electricity. Now, we are big users anyway. Measuring that against some of our neighbours, they're probably £300. So it's in that order. So we have 6 of the 12 houses have got solar panels now in the close. We were pathfinders. Ours went in 2005, of course, and everyone followed when the tariffs became really attractive.
So this is our airing cupboard with our hot water tank, and when we had the solar thermal put in, we had to have a bigger tank put in. The original tank was only about this big, and it's split so that the gas supply heats this top third of the tank, and the solar thermal comes in at the bottom, and as the temperature rises, it heats up the whole tank. And when there's a 5-degree difference between the temperature on the roof, which is a temperature collector, and the bottom of the tank, that's when the pump comes on and it starts to circulate and push the water through. And the temperature was up to about 50 something before my son ran his bath.
So one of the things that always makes people laugh about our utility room in this house is that we have 3 taps. So this is mains water. You can see the pressure's quite high there. Obviously hot water, and then a direct feed from the rain harvester tanks up in the loft. And you can see it's very clear, the water is just the same. In fact, there is, in the bottom section here, we have a microfilter which takes out any other debris that's before it goes into the loft. So one of the lessons we can learn from this sort of system is that you could use this for drinking water. And in fact, in the Caribbean, where our friends were working and living, that was the only source of water. The water that was collected from the roof went down into the tanks below the house and used for all purposes. They're perfectly usable. And it's one of the lessons that I think we can learn from those environments, is make the water last that you need to use, and use it only for the real purposes that you need it.